Good afternoon. I am certainly very, very appreciative of the opportunity given to me by Isaiah, Sina, IFAMA, all the entities involved with putting a conference together like this. So certainly, thank you very much. The topic of my discussion. Did I do that right? Let's see. Okay, what did I do here? Oh, here we go. No? Well, this is what you need. Okay. I see. I'm looking at the notes here, plus I'm looking at the presentation. All right, so the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency Credentialing Program was a program that we coordinated together with the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. They were our prime movers who took an interest in our need to verify from an outside source that we were in fact capable with our abilities and our skills and our knowledge to carry out our function of capturing over 200 different host nation aeronautical information publications, inputting that data, verifying all of the data, putting it into the aeronautical database, and producing the flip publications that you have been seeing for decades. And it was a process that we felt was very, very important because that would give us a sense of authority, a sense of competence. Our job hadn't changed any from one point to another other than when technology increases, but the credentialing just helped us boost that level of authority so that we knew we were on the right track and we weren't looking at it from biased eyes like our own eyes. We needed to go through from an outside agency. So the FAA was, go back. Okay, so I want to talk to you about the credentialing policy that we have, just to give you a preview of what it's done. I'm sort of not going to hang out too much with the PowerPoint presentation. I don't know how far I'll get with it because a lot of it is, here's sort of how the system works. I want to show you the value of what it did for us and what something very similarly can do for you. So you certainly can ask myself as the NGA representative any questions, any of the individuals here who are FAA, but they're not here as FAA because they're here on vacation, so, but they're really FAA. They're here. So I just want to make sure that you know that there is assistance available as far as explaining what the primary profit is all of this. Yeah, going through the credentialing structure. Okay, I don't care about any of that. What is credentialing? The credentialing program was developed to provide independent oversight of how personnel are trained and certified to perform direct safety-related events. Air traffic control, you know, this falls within your ballpark. The language of this, as far as safety-related air traffic control services, certification on certifiable systems, subsystems, equipment, and support. You know, NGA, we are not in the direct business of the NOTAM system and of the ATC, the air traffic control, and the radar, and the equipment, and the surveillance and stuff. We are, I've said this many times over this past week and while I've been here, NGA pretty much is a parasite. We simply take everybody's aeronautical information that we can possibly get our hands on, and then we verify all the data, and before we put that into our aeronautical database, we make sure that the data is correct. So we'll check it through imagery, we'll check it through source, we'll check it through comparing one point to another, doing bearing and tracks, etc., etc. We have a fairly strong quality management system because our level of trust with any information that we receive is fairly close. What do you think it would be? Fairly close to zero. Now, I'm not saying that from a negative point of view. It's not that we don't think that what you're giving us is good. It's simply that we are trying to verify, and we do it very, very quickly. We don't spend any time with that level of distrust, but we just take every single, when you tell us the threshold n has a certain coordinate, we'll take that coordinate, plug it into an image, and if it falls right on the threshold, we're happy. In it goes into the database. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because that strength of the quality management system is what enabled us to be successful with this Federal Aviation Administration endeavor with helping us to establish a credentialing system, with it. So, and we were able to demonstrate, and then it just solidified it for us that, oh yeah, we're doing what we need to do. We've got the personnel we need to do. We're handling the systems and the processes. So credentialing is the program used by the Air Traffic Safety Oversight to ensure that operational personnel have the required knowledge, the big three: knowledge, skills, abilities. There is terminology differences, again apparent from previous discussions throughout this past weekend and week, but while technically not a license, a credential acts like a license. It's simply an in-house capability for us. What that credentialing system did was, again, I'm not directly involved with air traffic control, services. I don't do those systems. But what we do, it was custom made to handle us so that we can acquire our credentials for every single aeronautical personnel, which an NGA is 250 about, who handle all the country's aeronautical information publications, design the instrument approach procedures, working the designs of the instrument approach procedures to put them into our template. And then we receive a certificate. What did I do with my certificate? So, there's the certificate. All right, in all its glory. Now I need my glasses because I can't read a damn thing without. All right, so, United States of America, Department of Transportation, Federal Aviation Administration, name Fred J. Calfior, gives my address at 3838 Vogel Road in Arnold, Missouri, where NGA uses its address, has been found to be properly qualified to exercise the privileges of Aeronautical Information Specialist. So the certification process is for the ability to carry out the responsibilities as an Aeronautical Information Specialist. For that Aeronautical Information Specialist, as the Federal Aviation Administration was looking through our process through a several years period, they realized there was a logical flow of 6 ratings. See? 6 ratings that were available to us. That just made sense. Let me see, I think that's on the next slide. See? There you go. So we have graphic design, aeronautical information publication management, which is mine, because everything I do is in regards to aeronautical information publications. Now, we have our battery of analysts who, in my particular job description, I'm the International Aeronautical Liaison. So I'm one of the 2 that we have at NGA that will try to capture everybody's AIP, get it to us so that our source team can collate all the information, document it, recognize that we've received it, and then disseminate it out to the analysts in a proper time frame. And then I also happen to have a country. So my individual country would be Peru, so when I get all that information, I do all my validation, verification, put that information into the system, and then out comes the en route charge or the terminal instrument approach procedure books. All that's involved. Timeliness, as far as this particular credentialing system is concerned, we're talking about every 24 months you exercise a renewal, of that particular credential. So this is sort of the details that you don't really need to get too involved with, but there's a sliding scale on the first 24 months because we want to ensure that you don't pass the 24-month period of time. So everybody received their credentials after a very lengthy period of time, around the July 2014 timeframe. So for people who are born in July, we didn't want them to wait until July of 2016 to acquire that first renewal because there's a day series of gaps where you could exceed the actual 24 months. So from June or July on in 2015, they sort of did it 1 year early until finally at July of this particular year, everybody will be caught up, and then it's a real straight 24 month, 24 month, 24 month year renewal as far as the certification process is concerned. What makes up a rating? Again, let's start, like for instance, with the Aeronautical Information Publication Management. You have to abide by ICAO standards. You're abiding by community standards, the thing that makes everything that you're doing worth doing. Procedure design is looking at the TERPs, the PANSOPS procedures, and then you've got competency elements, terminal objectives, enablers, again, the skills, the knowledge, the abilities. To be able to pull that, we have to demonstrate that. We had to demonstrate that to the Federal Aviation Administration, who had tons and tons of patience, tons and tons of abilities to be able to analyze us, certainly to give us motivational tools as to how to do things better. And that's what this is all about, actually. I mean, yes, it's important that you, for someone like us that wanted to have this credentialing system set up, having the certificate, all important. Because again, it gives you that confidence. But what happens as a result of all that? Well, we knew that when you are working with new employees, you're demonstrating, okay, what are you doing to get them up to speed so that they can do what they need? And we would have, the way NGA had sort of gravitated through the years, through the decades, you know, we had a training guide over here, we had a health guide over here, we had a geographical area guide over here, had individual help screens here, analysts, very seasoned analysts would have sticky notes with all kinds of, oh, this is the thing to really do, you know, and then they just get communicated through them. So you had multiple areas where you can get all your training. And in this credentialing system, as we were working, and we realized, you know, these new analysts, how do they know where to go to get whatever they need unless someone's there and always tell them? We sort of wanted to be self-sustaining. And so what we did was we took all the training information and we're able to consolidate it so that it was at one source and everybody just automatically would go to that one source. So the question is, where is this analyst working all the aeronautical data? The analyst is working on his computer, on her computer. Where was all the data previously? Well, it was all over the shops. Where do we want the data to finally be found? Well, where is the analyst working? On the computer while they're working the data. So we have started to institute the process where when they're working, let's just give you an example, plugging in waypoints, you know, into an air traffic control system. So brand new ATS route, plugging in the new waypoints, it's got coordinates, so you do all that stuff. If the new analyst is looking at that particular, you know, feature of the waypoint, is it hooked to a VOR? He doesn't know, where do I connect the waypoint to the VOR? So all he does is just double click the screen that he's at, and poof, the help screen comes up, which just tells him exactly where he's at. There's a flow diagram, there's your flow diagram, tells him where they can go within that document to get more specific information. I mean, it's right there. It's almost as if the new employee actually no longer needs to have someone looking over his or her shoulder to monitor how are you doing with your progress. The help screen is meant and designed to be sort of self-sustaining. That is a result of having gone through this credentialing system program. It's sort of a bonus that was to us. And the reason why I'm sort of bringing that up is because, and I gotta get moving on here at some point, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because from talking with a lot of you and other entities, you know, we're always talking about we need more training, we need more guidance, we need more of this, we need more technology, and I'm sort of stuck because I don't have enough money and I don't have enough resources, etc., etc. You know, we tend to look outside of ourselves when in fact there really is a lot that can be done if you just recognize what your resources are and what you can do to make your resource management more efficient. And that, if anything, that's sort of my takeaway message. This, to us, and we've been around the block, for a long time. But this to us was the motivation that just gave us that incentive to go, how can we do what we are doing? We know we're good, but how can we make that even better? And yeah, money's always got issues. You always got money that you have to be dealing with. You always have new ways of doing things. But a lot of times you can still pull what you have and you're still moving in that direction where you've got a better product, put together. And this is what that whole, credentialing system at least was the catalyst, for us to do. So here it is, structure of the system. If you were to desire to do something very similar, the important thing is it's from an outside agency. It's one of the vehicles. You know what I'm saying? I'm not laying down any gospel. It's just that it's one of the vehicles where it gets someone that's outside of your environment so that there's a clean look at you. They can give you an honest gaze at what it is that you're doing. That's what's going to boost your confidence. And then, it starts from the analyst, maintains his skills, gets his credential, gets the ratings, goes through a training lead. What we've done also incorporated as a result of all of this, every ARAC cycle, every 56 days, once we arrive at a cutoff, things have started leveling off. We've done all the pushing, getting all the data in that we need to meet that particular ARAC cycle. So now things have settled down a little bit. We take a day and we grab all of our aeronautical analysts together and we say, let's talk turkey about what problems we've had these past 56 days. What issues came up? Where did we draw a blank? Where did we fall short on? We've captured it, but we worked really hard to get this. What can we do to make it easier? And so this is all part of the continuation of, you'll notice here under the training lead, it says performs biannual skills and evaluations. Well, every single one of our analysts need to continue to exercise those knowledge, skills, and ability. It doesn't stop just because, I got the magic card. Just because you got the card, it's just like all the stuff we've been talking about with ETOD. What happens when you do that survey for the first time with your ETODs and you finally cover your 2A or your 4 or your 1 or whatever the case is? Then the job is done, right? You don't have to think about it anymore. No, you got maintenance that now has to happen. Same thing with the credentialing system. Same thing with the skills, knowledge, abilities that need to be exercised. Okay, so anyway, goes through, here's just to tell you, there is a sort of a vertical profile if you want to sort of follow the example as we had done, but you got your training lead, you got your designated examiner, the designated examiner's role, and this is going to come up on all these other slides, so you're not going to see them all because I can shut up. But you got your designated examiner who recommends who needs a credential. Is this new employee ready to receive the credential? After 1 year, 1 year, 3 months, 1.5 years, however long it takes, for us to realize, hey, okay, now we're good. We can let them free fly. Then you've got your proficiency manager, and these are all sort of like a branch chief level, division chief level, however you want to compare it to your particular business. But the production manager is the one that actually approves those recommendations from the designated examiner. Then there's an NGA oversight, and there's an FAA safety oversight. So, there's a lot of people looking to make that vertical structure work. Okay, so designations, I just told you about the designated examiner. Okay, so, this is the roles and responsibilities. This is where, if you wanted to know more information, these slides certainly will be available to you after the conference, I'm sure. I really don't want to take the time to go through the textual portion of all of this stuff, because this is just explaining, here's what each of the individuals are doing, and I've already sort of told you. But in a nutshell, the value of the FAA Aeronautical Information Specialist credentialing system towards NGA was, it just gave us a solidity that, man, this is cool. We are on track. We've always professed that we've given you the right product. The uniqueness of us at NGA, okay, it's just a little extra for your charge. The uniqueness for us at NGA is the world is not our customer. You, as the world, can benefit from the publications that we produce, but the world is not our customer. Our customer is our United States Military Services. That's who we serve, NGA. So everything that we do is in light of our military saying, we have a vital mission, we need this accomplished, can you supply us, or will you supply us, or you will supply us with charts, procedures. And so when we issue those charts and procedures, the reason why we have to verify everything down to the nit and no cranny is because the last thing we want to have happening is a military mission trying to be accomplished and it fails because our data wasn't good. That's the reason why the verification process and the quality management system that we have in place for NGA, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, is very, very strong. And it's part of what allowed us to get successful throughout this credentialing system. So, more information is there, but I'm going to stop right here, with that note for you. And I thank you very much for the opportunity to talk with you.